Okay, so one sec. I just wanted to record this session simultaneously for the students who will be missing this. And anyway, I had forgotten to do so. So let me just quickly repeat few of the things what I have just covered. So let me start with the introduction of um, sockets. Socket is the endpoint that establishes a communication between the two ends of the computer. These sockets are basically are for the two types of communication. One is connection oriented and connectionless. The connection oriented communication is nothing but when the path between the two ends is reserved, and that time we make use of TCP/IP protocol for connection oriented. So TCP/IP sockets are for connection oriented communication. For connectionless means the packets are routed in different direction. Here the packets may get delivered through different routes. Only advantage in this type of communication is the packets will reach faster, and even if one route fails, the packets may take the alternative route. So here the speed is the advantage of the connectionless. In connectionless, we make use of UDP protocol, that is user datagram protocol, and the socket which supports connectionless communication is called as datagram socket. In the next section of our chapter, we are going to learn about datagram socket. So today we are going to learn connection oriented communication through sockets, and hence it is governed by the protocol called as TCP/IP. Now TCP/IP sockets are used to implement reliable bidirectional persistent point-to-point stream-based connection between the host on the internet. Now the socket TCP/IP socket is of two types: server socket and normal socket. The server socket class is for the server. Normally a server socket is designed to listen to the client. Whenever the client sends a request, then the server socket will accept that request, and then it will start the communication. Then there is another class called a socket class, which is for the client. The socket class is designed to connect to the server by sending the first request. And when the request is sent, if the communication is proper or if the specified connection is proper, then the server will respond to it and the communication will get uh, initiated. So now first we are going to learn the client socket class, which is for the client. Here we are going to learn the two constructors, how to create a socket class object. The first constructor is, it accepts two parameters. One is the host name and the second is the port number. Host name is nothing but any of the website name. For example, it may be google.com or herbertshield.com. Second is the port number. If we uh, initiate the communication for some special purpose, we have to specify that particular port number. Normally, whenever we send any kind of text files, the port number is HTTP. The port is HTTP and the number associated with that is 80. So this is the first constructor which connects to the specified host name, or it creates a socket that will connect to the specified host name. If the host name specified is wrong, it will throw unknown host exception, or it may, if there is any other obstacle, it may throw IO exception. So this is what should be thrown at the time of creation of the object. The second constructor accepts the INET address object as the first parameter, and second is the port number. INET address object means, as you all know, INET address object is a combination of the IP address and the host name. So if we want to use this second type of constructor, first thing we will have to do is we will have to create INET address. So as you all know that INET address class object can be created by the factory methods. One factory method is, so last class we had seen, one of the factory methods is get localhost. So if we use get localhost, which is again a static method of INET address class, It has to be spelled properly. Anyways, I'll not go into the details. So inet address class, it is a static method. What is that static method? Get localhost. So get localhost will connect to the localhost machine and it will start establishing the communication. Second factory method is get by name, which will get connected, which will create inet address object for the specified website. So first we'll have to create inet address object, this IP, and then we'll have to create a socket by passing this IP as a parameter. So this is how the second constructor will work. Then the third construct, sorry, there are only two constructors. Now once we have created the object of socket class, we can make use of other instance method for other kind of information access. So let us see what these methods are. There are many methods. I have just listed few. One method is get inet address. This returns an inet address object associated with the socket object. So when the socket gets connected, then the server to which the socket gets connected will be associated with an IP address, and it will be associated with the host name also. So together the IP address and the host name, that combination or the bundle of IP address and host name together, it is called as the inet address object. So suppose when the socket gets created, but you don't know to which server it has got connected, in between you want to verify whether it has got connected to the proper um, website or the server or not, then you can make use of this method called as get inet address. It will return the inet address object, which will store the host name as well as the IP address of the server. If the socket is not connected to any of the website, then it will return null value. This method, get inet address. So the syntax is shown here. It returns inet address object. Then the second method is get port. Suppose we have already created a socket, but we do not know which port it has got connected. Then we can access the port number of the socket by using the method getPort. So we have to call it with the socket object name. That is, suppose we have created the socket object as S, then we should call this method as s.getPort. Will return the port number. If no port is if the socket is not connected, it will return 0. Then the next is get local port. Suppose if the socket is connected to the local machine, then it will return a local port number. If the invoking object is not bound to any of the ports, then -1 will be returned. Now let us, there are some more methods. One method is get input stream. Now remember, whenever the socket is created, here we are talking about TCP/IP socket, and the speciality of TCP/IP socket is it establishes connection oriented. So connection oriented means the information will flow in a particular stream. So stream means what? A sequence of bytes like this, one after the other. The bytes will start flowing from one end to another. So when it comes to sequence of byte, as you all know that the stream based communication is established through the input stream and output stream classes. So the input stream and output stream class. Yes, Nilesh? Anyways, if there is any doubt, you can just post in the chat. The input stream and output stream classes are used to pass the request or used to send the response from the server. When the client requests for the information, it is called as the request. When the server serves with the necessary information, it is called as the response. Now let us see how to get that particular input stream associated with the invoking object. That method is get input stream, then get output stream. This is going to return us the output stream object which is associated with the invoking socket. Once we will cover the example, you will understand it. Other methods are connect. This is very important method which is used to connect to a new server. Now, as you all know that the constructor, when you create the server socket object, that time only you are going to specify the server name to which you want to connect. Sometimes the socket can be created blank without connecting to any of the server. So sometimes such unbound socket can be connected later using the connect method. So this connect is used to specify a new connection. So of course, such example is not covered in our textbook, but just for your information, that connect is used to specify a new connection. That is, suppose now I'm communicating with one server, now you want to connect to the next server, another server, you can use connect method. Is connected will return true if the socket is connected. If the socket is not connected, suppose sometimes in between there is any problem and you feel suspicious whether my connection still working or no, you can ensure that by using is connected, it will return true or false. If it is connected, it will return true, else it will return false. Is closed, it will return true or false again based on whether the socket is closed or it is still open. Then there is a method called as close, which is used to close a connection. It is always advisable or recommended to close a connection after the communication is over. Now there is one program which is given in your textbook. Practical exam point of view, this program is not important, but it is given in the textbook, so I'm just going to explain it. The next program of this is important practical point of view. Anyways, so let us try to understand what this program does. Here, this program, as you all know, we are going to create socket. Any kind of communication we require this java.net package, so we are going to import that. Then as you all know that the socket communication, TCP/IP socket happens in stream based manner. So we require input and output stream classes. So for that we have to also import java.io package. So we have imported that. The class name I'm using is whois. What is whois? We will come to that later. Then we have a main method. I have created one integer variable called as c. What is that for? Let us see later. Now I'm going to create a client socket. So I have created the object socket s. The object name is s. The constructor is called new socket. This is the first type of constructor where I'm passing the host name and the IP address. The host name is whois.internic.net. So internic.net is a website which provides us with the information of all the uh, domain names and their IP addresses. So I have downloaded a special document for this to, for your information about what is internic.net. I will come to that now. So first let us understand that we have created a socket that is connected to the internic.net website through the port number 43. What does this 43 port number indicate? This 43 port number indicates a special protocol called as whois. There is a protocol, as we have HTTP, FTP, SMTP. Similarly, there is a protocol called as whois. This whois protocol is used for special purpose, that whenever we want to ask about the domain name or IP address in between a directory. Like as you all know that now, of course, in your mobiles you have all your contact list saved, but earlier we used to when this mobile phones were not there, when we used to use landline, then we used to write our numbers in small diary. Sometimes the important numbers in the city, they used to be printed in a booklet called as directory. So we used to call it as telephone directory. So whenever the district level or taluka level, that directory used to be printed, that directory had all the important phone numbers or the companies and their contact numbers in that particular directory. Similarly, uh, on the internet, there is one website called as internic.net. This particular website stores all the computers. Now, as you all know that whichever computer wants to participate in the internet. And it wants to become a domain in the sense, as you all know, that suppose gccbgm.org is my website. So whenever I want to host my website, I register my domain name. So whenever the domain name gets registered, its information is automatically stored in a special website called as internet.net. And suppose I want to ask for a particular domain name and its IP address, etc., then in that case I make use of this whois protocol, which is number 43. Anyways, what we are going to do in this program, let me tell you later. So let us learn line by line. Once I have created a socket which will connect to internet.net website, then I'm creating input stream object. As you all know, it is just created input stream object in. It is the name of that object is in, which will receive the information. Output stream object out is used to send the information. So I'm creating these two objects by using the method get input stream and get output stream. Once they are ready, let us start. I have to first send a request, isn't it? So I'm going to send a request to internet.net website. So for sending a request, I'm making use of, first I'm going to create one string variable. That string variable is going to store the website name about which I want to inquire to internet.net. As I told you just now, that internet.net is a special type of website which stores the information of all the registered domains worldwide. Whichever domain gets registered with the internet, its information gets stored in internet.net. So this internet.net can be queried for any particular website name. Suppose I want to query about google.com, I can query about it. It will show me the information. That internet.net website will give me the information about Google. Similarly, if I want to know about MH Professional, it will give me the information about it. For security purpose, now there are many restrictions on this, but still this internet gives us the basic information wherever it is allowed. Now suppose I want to ask about mhprofessional.com, then my string variable will store mhprofessional.com. But this textbook program, what it does is, it is going to accept the website name from the user about which the user wants to query, about which the user wants to know about that particular website. It will accept it from the user. If user does not provide any of the input, then it is going to take the default value. So as you all know that in your first semester you might have learned the um, operator. Ternary operator in the sense, we used to have something like this, some value or some condition, a greater than b, and then we used to have a question mark, then the value if true, colon, not semicolon, colon, then we used to have the value if false. You all remember this ternary operator? So ternary operator, now I'm just going to comment it. This ternary operator here, as you all know, this is the condition. What is the condition? If the user passes the value as command line argument. I hope you all remember in your third semester you all learned command line arguments. So command line argument, you had a journal program to calculate factorial by accepting the number as command line argument. So whenever user passes a value to the program at the time of execution, it is called as command line argument. And these command line arguments are stored in an array called as args, and they are stored in sequence from the place 0. Args 0 indicates the first value, args 1 indicates the second value entered by the user. So I'm going to check if the user has entered any value. If this array length is going to be 0, that means if the user has not specified any of the value, then my args length is going to be 0. If args.length equal to 0, if this condition becomes true, that means if the user has not specified any of the command line argument, that means if user does not pass any of the website name at the time of execution, then I'm going to my program will use the default website name as mhprofessional.com. Else means if the user has specified the value, then that value will be taken in a program. What is that value? Args0. So anyways, let us assume that user has not passed any value. So my string variable str will store mhprofessional.com as the value. Now concentrate. My str variable will store mhprofessional.com. Now this website name, I want to send it to the server through my socket. How will I send? I will send it through output stream. But while sending it through output stream, what is the name of my output stream? Out. Now my output stream will send the information in the form of bytes. But right now I have the website name stored in the form of a string. So first I need to convert the string value into the bytes. So how am I going to convert it? I'm going to convert it using the method called as getBytes. So str.getBytes, this method will convert this website name, that is mhprofessional.com, into the bytes, and that will create a byte array which I'm going to store in an array called as buff. So buff is a byte array in which I have stored my website name which I want to request, which about which I want to request to internic.net. So I have stored it into the buff array. How will I send the information? Using out. Out, that is the output stream object, has got a method called as write, which is going to write to the connected server. What it is going to write? The buffer array. So as you all know that the byte array whose name is buffer, it is going to write. So the moment the client has sent the website name, which website name it is going to send? mhprofessional.com. Then the request has gone to the server. Now server will respond. With what information server will respond? Server will respond about all the information that is available with Internic about mhprofessional.com. It is going to send that. The information which is sent by the server will be received by this socket. Now that information will be received, and that received information I'll be receiving through my input stream object. So what is my input stream object? In. So how am I going to read that? Using the method called as read. In.read. As you all know, I'm going to read byte by byte. So how will I know that my the server has completed sending the information? When my in.read will I will come across -1 value. So -1 indicates no more value. So till in.read is not equal to -1, I will continue to read the information. The moment it becomes -1, my loop will stop reading the information. So till then I will continue to read. The red byte or the red value, I'm going to store it in a variable called as C. As you all know, here we had created one variable of the type integer. As you all know, integer and byte are type compatible with each other. They can get typecasted easily. So I'm going to store the red value into the value which I have read. Read in the sense the past tense of read. Whatever value I have read, that I will store it in a variable C, byte by byte, and I'm going to print it in the form of character. So that byte value, I'm going to convert it into the character, and then I'm going to print it on the screen. And then I'm going to close the socket. So now let us quickly see the output. The information about mhprofessional.com is sent here. So first that internic.net, it gives its own information. It is kind of a advertisement it sends. Then from this line onwards, it has sent the information about the mhprofessional.com. It has sent the domain name, then it has sent the registrar, Melbourne, and then internet names worldwide, who is server, and then referral URL, name server, etc. Whatever technical information it has about mhprofessional.com, it has sent. So I hope you have understood this. Now anyway, it is time up. So now today we will stop here. If you have any doubts, you can paste your doubts on the chat so that I can read. None of you asked doubt, so I'm doubtful whether you have understood everything or nothing. Anyways, so this program, uh, I have already sent you through notes. So read once again. Anyway, practically this program is not important, but if you are asked to explain about the socket, you can write either this program or the next program. So let us stop here today. Tomorrow we will see the next journal program which you have already executed, client socket and the